Previously on Ethanimale.
Yo,
you want to help me with a video?
I am down. Let's get it.
Let's go.
So yeah, it turns out that Turner, the third place finisher on Big Brother 24, just so happens to also live in my apartment. So I invited him over to talk some Big Brother. Turner's fiance Megan was also supposed to join us, but she couldn't end up making it. So if the Turner camera looks needlessly wide, just know that it was supposed to fit two people in the screen, not just him, which is why it was positioned the way that it was. And with that, we can hop right into things.
All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first video I have ever done of this type of caliber. Today, I have a really special guest. I had a little bit planned, but Megan isn't here yet, so I couldn't do it. I was going to say everyone's, favorite person from Big Brother 24 and Turner.
Of course.
But yeah, we have got an interview podcast type of thing with Turner.
Let's go.
Turner, how's it going?
Dude, living the dream. Funny enough, they probably saw the intro skit. We live like 15 seconds walking distance in the same building from one another. So I'm stoked we were able to do this. I mean, it was not out of our way for either of us.
That's the crazy thing. So normally for, I guess, like any type of interview with past Big Brother players, it's usually done over Zoom or like a voice call or something like that. But as you can tell, I have Turner in person. And it's like a little bit of a funny story. You and I had like a little bit of rapport.
Yeah.
Probably like 8 months ago now. I don't know. But you just, I guess, had watched my Taylor video and you reached out to me just telling me that you liked it and it was fun.
I forgot that happened. Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember I woke up and I was like, whoa, this is so cool. Courtney doesn't watch Big Brother. She watched this season. This is the first time. But I would still just tell her. And I'll be like, oh my God, you don't really know who this is. But Turner from last season just was like, messaged me out of the blue. And I thought it was cool. Fast forward 5 or 6 months. Courtney reaches out to Turner. She wants to surprise me and get a custom rug of our past dog, Matt, all behind my back. I have no idea this is happening. Turner replies, says yes.
Yeah.
I actually have it right here.
Oh, hell
Like, I didn't even plan to have it here. It's just
that's sick.
Cal likes to lay on it, but this is the Mac rug. Did an extremely great job on it.
Thank you.
Here's that one right there. But so fast forward, however long, Turner texts Courtney, tells her, hey, the rug is ready. What's the address that I can send it to you to give it to you? Courtney sends him the address. Turner's like, oh, that's where we live.
At first I was like, wait, are you like pranking me?
Are you
pranking me? And then she said my address, so I was like, wait, am I like reading this wrong? So I click on it and I was like, no, wait, that is literally my address. So then I texted her back, I was like, that's where I live.
Which is the craziest part is I have no idea any of this is happening. So I'm literally in the living room and I hear Courtney like giddily like gasping. And I was like, what's up? And then at that point she spills the beans. So I'm just sitting here on whatever like random day it is. And then 5 minutes later, we're on our way walking to Turner's apartment, which was completely surreal.
And the rest is history.
Yeah, and now we're here. So that is why this is an in-person interview and not a over the phone.
And also I will say, like, after being on the show, I was never in like the universe of Big Brother other than watching the show. Until after I was off, then I started watching, like, I forget you're the real name that I remember, obviously, we're friends, so, like, Ethan,
hard to pronounce.
Do you know how to pronounce it? I would love to hear that.
So I pronounce it Ethanimale.
Oh.
But it started as Ethanimale, like animal.
That's how
Ethan,
I pronounce it when I say it in my head.
But there were already Ethanimals online, so I just added an E on the end to be more distinct.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that makes sense. So then there's like the
Peridium.
Mm-hmm. And so just now, and then the TikTok people, like this girl named Steph, and so...
Bro, she's been stealing my content.
Oh, for real?
She did a while ago, and I was like, alright, if she keeps doing this, I'm going to have to message her and be like, please stop.
That's wild.
Yeah.
And so just now, you were my favorite content creator, so I reached out to you because I was like, oh, and also Andrew Yellow, my boy, shout out.
Yeah, Andrew,
well. And so then I reached out to you because you genuinely, even now, I was telling you the other day, it was 4 a.m., I was watching your Battle Back video. I love your videos. They're so like in-depth and entertaining, so it was only natural for me to reach out after, just like keep it up. And then
which was I love any type of alumni. I had been making stuff before Big Brother 23, and like it had always done like pretty well, but like when you're first starting out, it's a small channel, but it wasn't until your season that it really started to like pop off consistently, doing really well. enough where I could do it full time.
Yeah, now you're mad active, which I love seeing, because every like 3 days I feel like you're pumping
Oh
something out.
yeah,
which
that's what it is. It's
insane.
like every 3 or 4 days I put out a new video.
For BB23, was it like that, or was it like every month, every week?
It was because it had just started right around when Big Brother 23. So at that point, it was only once a week because I did have a full-time job at the time. I could manage to make one video a week and not get fired.
Valid.
When right before your season started, I had to make a decision to move to Georgia with Courtney, but I had to quit my job in order to do that. And I was like, I'm gonna quit my job, move, see if I can do this full time at least for the summer. See if if I double the content, if I can make it work. Worked out way better. So yeah, that's when I started really pumping out the content. But I was not prepared at all, and by the end of your season, I took like a 5-month break. I made the Taylor video, and that was it. But I was much more prepared this year.
Hell yeah,
which
bro.
has been good.
Definitely. Well, now I'm excited to make my first appearance on this.
Yeah, no, for real. I mean, it was gonna be in the week 3 HOH video, but somebody drove to
I
LA
drove
for
to
Jasmine's
Jasmine.
birthday,
Yeah.
which I was glad that I didn't promote it beforehand. I was like, just in case something goes wrong, like I'm not gonna be like, oh, someone's gonna be on this video,
Yeah.
check it out.
probably
I mean,
the
it worked
best.
out fine. Like
Yeah.
I wasn't actually like annoyed. I think I sent you. I made like a little meme that I sent you. At
You
the
did.
time.
It was funny, and then I was drunk at the club, and then I remembered, and I like text you aggressively in all caps.
You
"Rob, I'm
did,
sorry,
yeah.
I'm
You
sorry,
sent me
I'm
like
sorry."
6 messages in a
Yeah.
row. This was already going great. I didn't even need these talking points.
Hell yeah.
But in general, the first thing that I wanted to talk about was just like your life after Big Brother. I know that you we don't have to get into like the whole Mr. Beast thing,
Yeah,
but you
of
at least had some sort of like social media presence before going on to Big Brother. I don't know how big it was, but coming out of the Big Brother house, huge change.
Thank
most
you. Yeah,
likely.
yeah. It was definitely crazy because I had like my online presence was more so background online presence, so it's like having an online presence for other people. Like before Big Brother, I had 4,000 followers on Instagram. I had 4,000 on YouTube, 20,000 on TikTok. So compared to someone like Kyle, obviously not much, or like Red, like not much. But I think I was like savvy enough as far as like a technical side to when I was in the house thinking what I could do outside of the house. So like for both YouTube and Instagram, I tried like grinding Big Brother related art videos. What people knew me for was like obviously Big Brother and being an artist, right? So then getting out of the show, I tried combining that and really like honestly milking it just to get in front of as
Which
many.
you should do
of
if you've
course.
got the audience. like-
Yeah, and it was a lot of fun though. It wasn't like I was like unnaturally milking it. Like I loved making Taylor a pair of shoes, or making Jasmine a custom table, or Julie Chen.
Or was
it
it
was
a
like a
different thing?
stained glass rug, right? So it was like a big cross, and then we had like this thing where we made clothes about it and all that, and it was really cool. And Julie's the homie. I mean, love Julie. So. But yeah, it was definitely interesting going from the switch of behind the camera, behind like the scenes editing, to in front of it. And now even still, like I was worried that once I stopped talking as much about Big Brother, it would kind of like go the opposite way. You kind of see a lot of people lose their footing after kind of like getting all eyes on you, but then not being able to retain it.
Yeah.
And so that was my biggest concern. I was like, all right, I feel like I have enough time behind the scenes where I know how to not have that happen. And so I did have a kind of stable period where I was stuck follower-wise until I really found this whole thing I'm doing right now, which is why I'm such a mess, honestly. As I showed you in my apartment making furniture, I found like a new passion for making furniture as opposed to making art, which is kind of still one of the same. But
Yeah, that kind of leads into my next topic, which I will get to in a second. I just want to make sure that stuff is recording.
hell yeah, I've definitely been there where like I'm recording and then my camera's like, oh yeah, it overheated 20 minutes ago. I'm like,
it's
dude.
like, wow, that would not be ideal, but so far it looks
Hell
good.
yeah.
That's Courtney's camera. This is the first time we've used it in forever. Like 2 hours ago, I was like, hey, Courtney, you know where your camera is?
Yeah,
just to
that's
find it. But yeah, so the next thing was the rug shack. So after Big Brother, you had the rug shack beforehand, and then afterwards you were still running, right?
Yeah.
But do you just want to like walk me through like?
Yeah, definitely. So we had started that about a year and a half, I feel like, before the show, something like that. I have no idea, but it's just around there. And it was so much work. Like it wasn't obviously even like a YouTube channel. It's not just like the 10-minute video you see. It's 24 hours a day nearly. And so that's how I felt like running my own store. It was like I can either jump on this opportunity where I have so many rug commissions and furniture commissions that it's never ending, and that's my passion really. And running a thrift store was really cool, but that was more just a maneuver to sell my art in the thrift store, right?
Oh, yeah.
So that was my favorite part about it. And obviously like love thrifting, but when you are dealing with more of like, at a certain point it just becomes a customer support job, right? You're just dealing with people who come in, like writing emails, and it was just so like demanding of a 24/7 schedule that I was like, all right, I love it, but I don't like really love it. And so then after the show, I was able to do like shout out to Alyssa Lopez, who like gets me brand deals. And
oh really?
Yeah, she's my agent. She's awesome. She's like one of my closest friends from another season, and that was kind of what I was more passionate about, so that's what I would have rather jumped on really. And after, or before and after the show, like running a store, that's like $5,000 in rent a month. I don't have like the money to own like a really nice apartment and this, so we had a really small apartment before the show, and then afterwards we were able to get like the lofts here, which are relatively affordable but still way nicer than like where I was living beforehand, which was like literally a closet shaped space in a city in Massachusetts. So like but then like the lifestyle from before and after, it's like Big Brother opened so many doors for me. Like it was just crazy. I could never have even dreamed about my life before versus after, because when you're not on the show yet, it's like, what are the actual, it's like playing a lottery ticket. Like, what are the actual chances I'll be on TV, right? It doesn't even sound realistic to me.
Yeah.
And so then, you know, somehow it just happened. And I was like, all right, I need to like make the most of this opportunity. Because, I mean, I'd love to be on another show, but say that never happens again. I have all these eyes on me right now. I gotta make the most of it.
You see a lot of people come out of the Big Brother house and they have like they try to become like an influencer and stuff. But I feel like you've got, it's like an art.
Yeah.
Where I mean, not to discredit anybody else that comes off the show, and like, but I feel like a lot of people, for the most part, a lot of people on Big Brother, they're just hot, and like they can just like they get a huge Instagram following, and then they just post a bunch of pictures on Instagram. But like you, and like that's totally great.
Yeah.
Like for like, hey,
if it works out,
it works out. But for you, like you've got all the different platforms. Like you're making these. You're not only making the furniture, but you're making the journey of making it interesting. The like the historic,
the bone rug.
bone, and like the way that you talked about that, and you had like a history lesson in it, and it was just like so interesting. I was like, oh my god, like I would have just watched that from anybody. Like that was
Thank you.
Like really cool.
Like over the past year, I think I've really found my creative voice, and I think every time now, like there was a period of 6 months where I was making the same thing over and over, but I feel like just to get over the 10 minutes of nothing I could possibly say, like I don't know, I just feel like now I really found my creative voice. I already am like super overconfident in everything I do, so I was like, all right, now we're just going to the freaking moon. So I'm having so much fun.
Yeah. Do you get a lot of like custom requests?
Oh my god, yeah.
I not to like keep talking about the opportunities, but I had one viewer especially, and like I'll get into like some of the viewer questions, but sorry, I just like coughed on my
I was like, that was sick.
But you were on an H3 podcast, is that what it was?
Yeah, H3. So that was like a dream of mine, and I'm such a big fan. So when they were talking about me when I was in the house, because I was talking about them, my first out of the Big Brother house, they're like one of their managers or whatever contacted me to be on the show, and then honestly they were like, oh, you were talking about it with Taylor in the house, we would love for Taylor to come on too. And I was like, okay, I can. They probably just want Taylor and they're being nice to me. And I already
using you.
That's what I was thinking. But then, I mean, I kind of am like pessimistic, but just in a realistic sense. I was like, okay, I can see why, but I'm totally taking the opportunity. I'm gonna go on either way. But then, like Taylor is one of my closest friends, and so afterwards when they were like, oh wait, can you just come on, I was like, oh my god, wait, I have something.
Like, wait, they actually
something here.
Want you? Like, it's not just about Taylor.
Yeah, exactly. And so and that's nothing against her, she's literally the GOAT, like obviously.
Oh my, there has never been such like fan support, and I like felt bad because like you've been so nice to me, and I was like, man, there's like I live streamed the Big Brother 24 finale, and I just go wild when Monty evicts you.
Understandable.
He did it! Just because like it had been like the same song and dance like the last like however many seasons.
Yeah.
And then like when that happened, I didn't I kind of expected it, but it was kind of like in like the pessimistic way, which I mean, I was just a big Taylor fan at the time. I was like, oh my God.
But I get that totally, because it's like there's clips of like people at like not premiere parties, but like finale parties, obviously. And it's like I get evicted, and then I got you. I get evicted, and then there's like 1,000 people in a bar cheering like the Super Bowl just ended and the team won. And not like. Even when I saw that the first time, I was like, that is so funny. Like, that is hilarious.
Because it's not about you getting evicted. It's about Taylor getting to the end.
Yes, totally. And so I totally see that, and I think it's hilarious. Like, I'm glad that I didn't walk away from Big Brother seemingly with like any, not like trauma necessarily, but like walking away sour, I guess you could say. Like some people get evicted at number 3, understandably, and they feel betrayed, or they like can't even watch their season. Like I could watch Monty evict me like 10 times a day.
That's so funny.
It's funny to me. It's like, it is what it is. I was happy to get past week 3, so getting to 3rd place, like I could literally never even imagine about complaining about 3rd place on Big Brother. Like that's crazy to me.
Yeah, no, I remember you handled the eviction extremely well. Yeah. And like your interview afterwards. And I wasn't sure if I was going to ask you, because I wasn't sure if it was going to be like a touchy subject, but you seem to be doing well. Yeah. That feeling of being so close to the end, like, did it, because like you were saying, and like what I was saying, you handled it really well. Was there like that, oh my God, I was so close, like that hurt? Or were you like really like, I don't know, like, it's such a vacuum, I have to assume, in the Big Brother house. I've heard the concept of money loses its value when you're inside the house because you aren't spending money and everything is paid for. And I've always wondered if that plays any factor in having a more gracious exit, where maybe it doesn't like necessarily mean as much. I don't know what I'm talking about.
No, I know exactly
I've never been
what you mean
in there, but I just wanted to like pick your brain for a second.
Yeah, so when I got evicted, it was like, all right, as far as I'm concerned, I've been in every episode. Like, unless you really win almost, I feel like, all right, what you're gonna get outside of the house, if you've been in all the episodes, right, like, then it is what it is. You've gotten your max watch time, per se, you know? So it's like, I've been in every single episode. I've done a lot of DRs. Like afterwards watching, it's like I had the second most DRs behind Taylor. So it's like I got a lot of
watch time. I didn't know that.
Yeah, like there's this Instagram account called like BB24 stats or something where it like breaks down all that. But I had the second most DRs to Taylor, so I had a good amount of time on the screen. And I was like, all right, that is what I'm really pulling away from this. No one. I mean, okay, you can go in the house being like, yeah, I'm going to win, but it's like, you don't know you're going to win. Like, there's 8% chance
there's so many people in the house that there's only so much you can do.
And so you have to be realistic about it, and then, like, it's finale night, and now I'm like, all right, I'm seeing Megan later. Like, who cares?
You know,
that's what I've been talking about the entire season, and this was all, like, from the life of my girlfriend and I, and now my fiance. I was like, all right, I'm seeing Megan later. I get to see my mom later today. It's like, okay, I can either come out of this in 1st place or come out of this in 3rd place, and everyone in my immediate circle is going to be proud of what I've done.
Yeah.
I could care less if I walk away with $750,000, and I could understand if you're like some people who have $400 left and you need this, you know, not to throw any shots out, but like then you specifically, it's gonna mean a lot more, I guess. But it's like I'm comfortable. I was comfortable beforehand with my business, and like I don't know, I was like, okay, 1st place, 2nd place, 3rd place, I win a cash prize either way.
Yeah.
It's not like my life is ruined if I don't win $750,000. Like what are we talking about?
Yeah, no. That's a really good way to like think about it. And I feel like that's the way you should think.
Definitely. I mean, and we've seen some people get in 3rd and they don't react like that, and I can't fault them. Everyone has their different ways of reacting to stuff, but it's like for that instance in particular, I can't hold anything against Monty, especially because like obviously it's ironic how it all happened right afterwards.
Yeah, where Monty likely wins if he evicts Taylor.
He 100% would have won, because I didn't even think of a speech. I had no speech. I was like, I was just gonna wing it, which apparently is not what people do. I'm apparently way too easygoing. But like,
oh, that's so funny.
I remember like, you know how when like an eviction's about to happen, most of the time like you hold the other person's hand, right? So in anticipation, I'm holding Taylor's hand, and I was like, yo, what do you think's gonna happen? And she's like, I have no idea. In my head, I'm like, oh, you're getting evicted right now. That's what's gonna happen,
Bro, you're gone, bro.
And she's thinking the same exact thing, but to each other, like, who knows?
Yeah,
You know,
I don't
what's
know.
gonna happen?
Like,
But
I
like,
know what they're thinking.
in my head, I'm ready to give my condolence hug to her.
Oh, yeah.
And so then he says Turner, and I'm like, and also he's looking at me this whole entire speech. We're making eye contact.
Oh.
So I was like, bro, like, what's happening? And then, but also, funny enough, he made eye contact with me the whole entire speech for Brittany's eviction. So I was like, oh, this is just what he does.
He just like looking at you when he evicts the person next
I was
to
like,
you.
maybe he just feels comfortable looking at me as he evicts these people. And then he said my name. I was like, oh, well, like, if he thinks this is the move that's going to change his family's life, like, what, I'm going to be mad about that?
Yeah.
He deserves it. He beat me in that competition.
Yeah.
Right? So that was my takeaway from it in a very long-winded answer.
In that moment, I mean, I can imagine it's probably a blur.
Yeah.
It's probably like...
Honestly, those speeches at the end, I did not hear a word. I was literally just like thinking. I was like, okay.
Like, so much is happening at once. But if you like can remember, did you think that it was not necessarily it was the right move, but did you think that Monty was gonna have it over Taylor?
That's the funny thing. It was like, okay, right out of the house, like processing the reason that you do things is a lot different than once you've had months to think and sit on it. So right out of the house, I remember saying in interviews, because it was like, all right, so I get evicted, I vote for somebody, I go do exit interviews, I haven't seen my family yet still, I really just want to see my family.
go and see
them.
them.
Exactly. And so then everyone's like, why did you vote for Monty? And I was like, okay, like that's a very understandable question, obviously. And so it's like, at the time, I remember saying, oh, I didn't know where everyone else was going to vote, which like, I'm sure as a fan, like, what are you talking about, bro? Like, this is your vote. But at the time, I was just like, again, it was like someone hit me with a flashbang at that time. It was like, whatever.
And it's also fast. Like, you're evicted, speeches, vote for a winner. Like,
exactly.
It's all in like 30 or 40 minutes.
And so now out of the house, I think I've been able to sit on why I actually voted for Monty. And it really just comes down to, like, especially the week before, he could have evicted Brittany, or he could have evicted me. He saved me. The next week, I gave him a vote. Like, it isn't that deep. And just like people weren't, like, cheering because of my eviction, I wasn't voting against Taylor by any means, just for Monty, who, especially at the time in the house, like, up until that point, we had a final two. And it's like,
exactly.
I know final twos get broken. It wasn't like, oh, how could this possibly happen? It was like, yeah, all right, we had a final two. We've been very close for the past month. We've protected each other. I feel like a real bond with both of them. But because of the dynamics of our gameplay, Monty more so at this time. And I just gave him my vote.
Yeah. I think it makes sense.
Definitely.
I mean, like, every vote matters, but like, at the end of the day, it didn't matter. It was
exactly.
it didn't matter
at all. And Taylor's lucky number is 8.
Some winners all make a specific video just detailing their entire game. And I made Taylor's, and I don't make these with the expectation that, oh, they're going to watch it, they're going to be so appreciative. Like, I just make it because I like to make it, and people like to watch it. And if they do watch it, great. If they don't, that's also fine. Instantly, she watches it.
Oh, hell
and it was
yeah.
funny. And like at the end, I give like an arbitrary value, like out of 10, and I give him a score. And I was like, I gave Taylor a 7.5 out of 10. And like her response after saying all this stuff was like, but my lucky number's 8. You could have given me an 8. So I just thought that was
that's super funny.
funny time.
She's so cool, and it's like at the end of the day, if I could be close to anyone in the cast who also has been like graced with $800,000, Taylor is the perfect winner for our season. She was obviously the main character, so it's like as a viewer, I can only imagine what that was like to go from week 1 to finale week with that storyline.
Like never before, especially to that degree. Like to be about to be evicted unanimously in the first week to winning the game almost unanimous.
It's insane.
It's like
it would be pretty. Obviously not similar, but like just in very small instances, like if Jag won, where he was like basically evicted,
he literally was evicted and came back.
Exactly. So to the point where like obviously Taylor's in unanimous week 1 and then came back to win. So I was like, all right, maybe if we see this happen again, that'd be dope. I mean, I like Jag, not to pivot too much from that. But
No.
Like,
I think it's good because like I mean, screw that shit. Like the back and forth is going really well. So. To kind of go off of that, I did want to talk a little bit about the current season and your season and some comparisons. But the whole idea is that this season has had a lot of people evicted and back in the house. There are currently 3 people inside the game right now that have been evicted that are just hanging out in there. And especially for 2 of the people, it being a double eviction, I thought it would be fun to hypothetically ask you. You won the double eviction on your season. You only had 1.
Hell yeah.
I think Terrence went out in the first part.
Yeah, he did.
You win HOH, Monty wins veto, you get Michael out. How devastated would it have been if Michael came right back in?
That would have actually been insane, especially because it's Michael, right? Like,
Oh yeah, it's
the
not just like
powerhouse.
anybody. It is like
Yeah.
the comp, like the single season comp record holder before the end game even starts.
Yeah,
it was
definitely.
insane.
And so like that would have been devastating. I mean, especially because of like even in the moment of his eviction, how good he was at trying to persuade
Oh,
people.
yeah.
Like he obviously knows what he's doing in every sense of the word, whether it's in life or in Big Brother. And so it's like that would have been horrifying because he would have obviously, with it being him, he lost like one veto, and that's the one where he went out on. I think he would have won the show because he probably would have won the rest.
Probably.
Okay, so I had 3 HOHs, like probably 1 or 2 of them wasn't even against Michael. You know what I mean? Like the double, obviously he couldn't play in, and that's usually like I feel like the curse of the double. It's like Jared couldn't play, so then Jared gets
Yeah,
in the
it's
double.
definitely hard.
Yeah.
And it's so fast too.
Specifically, and so to watch. But also in BB25 to watch people keep coming back, I'm like, I wish it was like Hi Sam who came back, or I wish it was
Hyson
even
was so sick.
like Riley or Kirsten, but it's like Cameron and
Cameron and Jared,
Yeah.
like it could have been any of the, or like Izzy. I really like Izzy.
Oh, I love Izzy,
And
yeah.
it's just the way it the luck of the draw or the unluck of the draw.
For
But
sure.
It's
So I'm praying that I like, although there are different tips you can say about either one of them, I really just honestly and openly don't like Jared. But
Yeah.
Cameron, I don't. I've seen things about it online, but I have no idea what he's done. So I just need to look more into it. But
Yeah, I think it's more so he's just like kind of creepy. Oh my god.
Dude, that's crazy.
Daisy. All right, Mama, let's get you out of here.
Is that a C920 Logitech?
Yeah.
Oh hell yeah!
How did you know that right off the rip?
I used to have that webcam when I first started making like Call of Duty cut commentary.
Oh, shit, that must have
Yeah.
been so long ago.
Oh my god, yeah, that was like middle school, high school.
So, Megan, you got into Big Brother because Megan and her family watched,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
So, none of my family watches Big Brother. In fact, they despised it. at
Oh, really?
first. They love Survivor, and that's how I initially got into the whole thing. And then, like, on the 3rd season that I'd started watching, there was a player from Big Brother on Survivor, and I was like,
Oh,
wow.
wow.
And that's how I got introduced. I started watching. I really liked it. All my family didn't like it. But last year, my sister Ella, after my videos have been doing so well, she is like doing her own content creation. She had like 40,000 TikTok followers at one
hell
point.
yeah.
But so after my stuff started doing really well, she was like, maybe I'll actually give the show a chance. Watched like 6 episodes, loved Pooch.
Oh hell yeah!
Just loved Pooch. And then slid into his DMs. And
that's
then they were
dope.
talking for a little bit. And I just thought that was the funniest thing.
That is definitely interesting. I mean, yeah, he's he's a guy. I'll say that.
He's
He's
a
a dude. Yeah. Honestly, Big Brother alumni are so like even now like watching people come out of the Big Brother house and talking with them. I'm like, yeah, I can see how like we have this unique experience. So we all like to actually like communicate with one another very often. Or like Derek invited me to like a club a couple days ago. I didn't go because I was working, but still very nice, right? And I talked to Paul a lot, and so it's very cool to have this like open line of communication for just Big Brother alumni.
That's cool. I always feel bad about Paul specifically. There is just this idea that people have that I hate Paul, and I don't.
really?
I don't hate them at all.
Is it from like videos? Or,
It's
like
from. So, do you know Josh
Martinez?
Yes.
Yeah.
I love Josh. I'm a huge fan of Josh. And when I started making video, it was a very unpopular opinion to like Josh. But I really liked him, and I wasn't holding back when I said I thought he was great for the show. I loved his chaos. But I think a lot of people took that to meant that as like, oh my God, he just hated Paul.
Yeah.
And to be fair, like during Paul's season, they were so dominant that it made the season very boring.
Yeah.
So like, and then at the end for them to like lose in a 5-4 vote, which must have, sucked
Of
on a
course.
personal level, but as like looking at it as a TV show, it was like the craziest thing. I was a freshman in college. I invited all my friends who didn't watch Big Brother. I had like a suite. We were all crowded around like this like small TV.
Yeah.
People that didn't even know the show, and everyone's just like going ballistic, and it was so fun. But I think a lot of people take all of my excitement for Josh and are like, man, this guy hates Paul.
I mean, yeah.
I don't.
I like them both, honestly. So sometimes it's like I don't even know like how to approach that because I consider myself like acquaintances with Josh, right? Like I talk to him every now and then, but then Paul I actually consider like a good friend of mine, and so it's like I don't know if they talk, I don't know what their relationship is, but I do like both of them from an entertainment side, but like Paul's my guy.
Yeah, exactly. You're gonna be friends.
I know, yeah. When I like that same night that was the Big Brother party right out of the house. This like production guy from Big Brother was like, hey, I know that you are a huge fan of Paul. I got a surprise for you. Or he didn't really say it like that. He was like, hey, I have a surprise for you. And so then he brings me down and like Todrick's 45-foot doors open and I see Paul on the other side and I like lost my mind. I was like, oh my god. And so then I have a Instagram photo I posted that same night of just me talking to Paul because it was so surreal to me.
I mean, it makes sense. Like I feel like your styles are there.
Yeah,
like, you would fit well together.
Definitely. I mean, yes, like even jumping on that, like that is one thing I do hear a lot of is like, and now that we're talking about Big Brother, it just seems like this will fit into the next topic. It's like talking about my strategy in the house, or I was like too passive of a player. That I hear that a lot, right?
Yeah.
So I will say I feel like my strategy in the house and like people who I was inspired by watching would be like Paul or Tyler, or like, you know, just people who I feel like my personality is like the chill people, right? And so I think they were probably better players than I was because I don't know if they were fans for a long time beforehand. I had seen, up until I started casting, just 2 years of the show, right?
Tyler was a fan. Paul, I don't think I'd ever seen the show.
Oh, that checks out. Yeah. So, yeah. But, like, in the house, I thought my best route to the end would be, like, to approach HOHs kind of in a democratic sense, where it wasn't like, you would get out of an HOH and you'd be like, oh my god, he's not even like playing for the Alliance, he's playing for himself, right? And so I was like, okay, I felt like I found the good middle ground of getting out the biggest or best or whatever it may be players, but also keeping my name out of like, oh, they're a threat, right? And I was like, I feel like I'm doing a really good job at that, where I'm somehow winning comps, I am getting out big threats, but then like, oh yeah, that's just Turner. Right?
Yeah, no, so I think, and I mean, feel free to correct me at any point if I'm wrong. I'm the person watching from home, and you're the one actually playing. I think, because you bring up a good point, like, the people that you got out were huge threats. Like, Amira, Kyle, and Michael.
Yeah.
Like,
but although, just cut you off real quick, I do genuinely understand the passive part about Michael. If I could go back and do any one thing, it would have been to own the move of Michael and be more about that, but not to cut you off.
For sure. I think I guess like consensus was that viewers saw you as like moldable, and you would just like blindly go with like whoever like talked to you the most convincingly and that sort of thing. And it's like knowing like that it's an actual strategy.
Yeah,
like it makes sense. And I don't think I think people were harder on you for that than you would necessarily deserve, because you are going into these weeks taking out the biggest threats and coming out of them looking pretty like
that's
clean.
what, yeah, right.
I just think that it wasn't perceived as like it being your move. Where like people looked at getting rid of Michael as Monty's move, or
that one.
Like
honestly, like I try to be as self-aware here as humanly possible, and sometimes like. I mean, as an artist and as like I guess an influencer, I have to be really all about myself sometimes, right? But it's like seeing these moves, I was like, all right, I can kind of get where people are coming from. Like I would be insane to be like, oh no, how could you possibly think that? But at the same time, I'm always thinking like, all right, with Michael, honestly, that night was a mess. I was like, okay, so I won the first HOH, Monty, and we had this plan to get out Michael, right? And then I was trying to backdoor him the week before. Like that was the whole week before me trying to backdoor Michael. And so then we get into this week, and I put Brittany and Alyssa on the block, and then Monty goes, Michael, and I was like, oh wait, yeah, you're right, that is the plan. But like right after the competition, I forgot. I was like, oh my god, yeah, I'm just like. Again, and that's why people are like, oh yeah, just Turner, right? Because
I've been guilty of that too. I made a video about like the 5 craziest double evictions, and I think I do give like all the credit to Monty, because like on like the episode and like looking at the double eviction, it really did look like in that moment that you were like a deer in headlights, where Monty comes to you and it's like, we're doing Michael, and you're just like, are you sure? Like
it was almost like she was like, all right, we're gonna do the thing that we've waited for so long, and I was like, and just in the moment of like that was such a chaotic night because Alyssa is still one of my best friends. I was like, all right, I put her on the block. That's like all in my head. I feel so bad that I put Alyssa on the block. I can't stand Brittany at the time. I'm really close with Brittany now. I really do have a lot of love for Brittany, but at the time I couldn't stand her. And then we've been talking about, and she knows that obviously, we had a lot of back and forth in the house. And so then at the time, it was like, all right, I know that we've been talking about Michael for weeks, but just in the moment of, we just had this double eviction, you just want HOH all this, I just like, it just left my mind for 5 minutes. And then, so then when Monty says Michael, I did look like a deer in headlights. So I was like, oh, right. Okay, yeah, thank you. But that's just like, again, not everyone can always be the best Big Brother player in the moment, right? And I obviously don't have to defend that to you. Like, everyone kind of knows that. But, like, yeah, that was one thing. I was like, all right, I should have just, like, kept that thought in my mind. And it also didn't help, like, in the DR, obviously they're shaping an episode, right? So we had just made that Guys Alliance with Michael and
they were like telling you to talk about it.
And and so one like cut scene was like, what if we say, Monty, what are you talking about? Like, this was my line. Monty, what are you talking about? We just made an alliance with Michael. Monty, what are you talking about? We just made a final three with Michael, and now you want to take a shot at him? We cannot miss, or we're out the door next. And I was like, okay, you say that however you want. But I was like, but in that moment, I was like, okay, I can say that for an episode, but it's like, I hope this is framed in a way that doesn't make it seem like I'm really trying to keep Michael. And then I watch it back, and I was like, damn it, like, I see what people mean, because like that totally looks like that. And like, that is also to say, it drives me crazy when people are in Big Brother and they get out of the house and like, yeah, you don't know everything, but it's like, it is what it is, you know what I mean? Like, I can, like, I don't know, not even to name a name, but people are like, you know, the feeds don't show everything, or like the show doesn't show everything.
I can think of quite a few people who have said that.
And that drives me crazy, so I would never say that. It's like, I didn't have to say that line. I could have just not said the line, Monty, what are you talking about, right? I could have just opted out of saying that, but I didn't. And so then it's like, I could never fault anyone for thinking I was too passive in that move, because I get it.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's just the way that they edit the episodes. Like, even I'm susceptible of like believing, because there's so much happening that it's hard. Like, it's a 3-month-long game. Yeah. It's hard to like remember where it's like, oh, should I believe this DR? Like 5 days ago on the feeds, Turner alluded to this. Maybe that's not the truth. It's just like, I see it and I believe it.
And then it also didn't help when Michael gets kicked out and he's doing and love Michael, but he's doing the whole like, oh, you did this whole like LGBTQ agenda on me. And I was like, I didn't really think about it like that. Like, I really, in the moment at the time, I was like, I would hate to have to be in the position to kick out of the house the only other LGBTQ player. And I meant that. But then when it comes to that moment where it's like, okay, well, I can either be the worst Big Brother player ever and give you the game, or I can stick by my word. I was like, all right, I'm just going to do the thing. Yeah, right? So it was chaotic. It was a tough night. And even watching that episode back, it's very difficult for me to watch back. But it's a year ago. So, yeah.
Well, first, did you go back and watch this season?
I've seen probably 80% of it. Okay. I was barely even in the first 6 episodes, right? Like the Jasmine HOH and who was first HOH on my season? Daniel. And so those two I like skimmed through. I was literally, the only 5 minutes I got of airtime was me licking my elbow. That was like a scene. I wasn't in the episode, so I kind of skimmed through those. But and also looking back at it, I did watch the parts where it was like the fight with Taylor and Nicole and Daniel, and that was extremely difficult to watch.
Yeah,
and
which is like understandable.
Knowing Taylor, like, that was one of the hardest things I've ever watched TV-wise in my life, and it's not like it's like people acting. That was like a real emotional moment in the house. Mm-hmm. So that part I watched just because I wanted to be aware of what was going on. That was tough, but other than that, I really skimmed through those episodes. Again, there are moments I would redo. Like, I would have redone the Alyssa moment where I evict her as a good friend of mine, and she watched back the season. Like, she just finished it last week, so we rehashed that moment, and I still genuinely, like, that is another thing I would probably redo, is like, I did not really have to lie to Alyssa like that. I don't know if you know what I'm referencing.
Are you the final 5?
Yeah, the final 5, where we were talking about it on my bed in the car room, and she was like, can you not evict me? And I could have just told her the truth, but I, for some reason, just chose to lie to her and make it way worse than it had to been. And then, like, looking back at people's reactions, because like as I would watch the episodes, I'd be like, what were people saying about it at this time? People were like, yeah, Turner's definitely like a sociopath. And I was like, you know what, watching this, I could see why you would think that.
That's crazy. See, I got the complete opposite vibe where I was just like, it was very clear that you had like a very good friendship with Alyssa.
Yeah.
But it seemed like you were sticking with Monty, like, and Taylor at that point, where it was just the plan to evict Alyssa over Taylor, and like I didn't look at you being like, oh, this sociopath that's lying to her. It's like it's just hard, and like
it really is
to be in that position. Like it might be easier in the moment to just not tell them and tell them what they want to hear.
That is genuinely what I
just have
thought.
one goodbye.
At the time, I was like, I can just say goodbye in my goodbye message, lie about it now. Afterwards, it is what it is. But then it's like, especially when, like, I still don't even know, because now I'm talking about it, and it's like, yeah, I still don't even know. Like, that did for a couple months outside of the house affect our relationship, just being honest. But then we became really, really good friends again, and she watched it, and it was hard for both of us. And so now it's just like, I would have changed it, but I would have changed it not that much, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I probably just would have, right before she got evicted, been like, I'm really sorry about this or whatever, because people were giving me the opportunity. I remember Monty and Taylor were like, like right before it happened, they're like, you can like say to her whatever you need to say. And I went up to her to do it, and it was like this sad attempt at it, where I went up to her and she was very hopeful, and I felt so bad in the moment. And I went up to her and I was like, hey, whatever happens, just know I love you. And that's all I said. And I was like, I went into that conversation trying to do another conversation, and I just literally couldn't. I just genuinely couldn't do that. So, yeah.
I remember watching that one, and I wasn't sure if you were gonna be able to do it, because you looked like upset.
Oh, very much so. Especially after I cried in the HOH room, right?
Exactly. And like, not to, because I know Brittany that week was trying to like convince you to like give Alyssa a sympathy vote, where then she flipped her vote against Taylor, trying to make it a 2-0 to send Taylor home. And it seemed like you figured out what Brittany was doing.
It was very obvious.
Very obvious.
And I feel like if she had just came up to me with, instead of like the manipulation plan, of being like, hey, let's just vote out Taylor, as opposed to, hey, let's give Alyssa a sympathy vote. You know what? There's like two sides to that coin, and I feel like if she went with the other side, it would have been more susceptible. But like to the side of me hearing Brittany openly trying to manipulate what I'm doing, I was like, okay, what are we doing?
Yeah, no, you don't want to fall for it. But I wasn't worried that you were going to fall for that, but it was like, I don't know if Turner's going to be able to do it, but then you did it. I was just like, wow, that's crazy.
That was like my thought process in the moment, because that is something else I see a lot of conversation about every now and then when talking about me in the game, like voting on Alyssa. My perspective on that moment was, I was like, okay, at the time I was going to go to the end with Monty, right? So I was like, okay, so I can either have a final two with Monty, and in my head I was like, he's definitely taking me to the end, and I'll take him to them, lo and behold, whatever. But so I was like, I can either backstab my final two and piss him off, and he might win next HOH, which, you know, whatever. And so, which he couldn't play HOH, but he might
But he had the vote at the final.
Yeah, that's what I mean. And so he could be in that position, see that I like totally blindsided him for no reason, and then kicking me out so I'm in fourth place. Or I can just hope that we both win back to back, and then he takes me to the end, right? So that's what I was seeing. And then the next week, when like, you know, whatever happened to those two final two for their personal relationship, I was like, I was in the DR one day, and I was like, I'm gonna be like another Nicole Anthony, where he goes to the end with Jackson and Holly, and why did that happen, right? And so, but looking back at it, if I kept Alyssa, Brittany would have been the next HOH instead of Taylor. I wouldn't have had any deal with Brittany in the end because of how sour our relationship was. And then in my heart, I talked to Monty about this. He told, like, when we talked about it in Georgia, I just finally openly asked him, I was like, bro, if I backstabbed you, kicked out Taylor, who you also had a deal with, would you have voted me out the next week? And he was like, I've never really thought about it, but like, there's a good chance. And I was like, okay, that's enough for me to be like, all right.
Yeah, because then you're out at 4, right?
Yeah, then I'm out at 4, and that's like $5,000 less. So
yeah. Huh. And I mean, I guess I had never taken that extra step to think about it, where it's like, okay, in the one-dimensional view, having Alyssa might have been more beneficial than having Taylor in the house for you. But then you're right, going into the next week, Brittany wins the HOH. Monty probably still wins the veto. And then at that point, it's you and Alyssa on the block.
I would have had to, if I did that, I would have had to bet Alyssa would have won the following HOH, right? I would have been like, it has to be me or it has to be Alyssa to win this upcoming HOH.
Yeah.
And like, love Alyssa, and she did great in the challenge, that show, but she at that point hadn't won a competition in Big Brother yet. So I was like, I just can't bet that she is then going to win the next HOH, keep me safe, and what if I don't win the next HOH, right? Then
Alright, yeah, you've convinced me. You know,
Okay,
going into, not that I like actively think about it, but
yeah, no, of course.
in my head, I think even in the Taylor video I mentioned where it's like, it's crazy that you, like, I say it's crazy. I was being dramatic for
Yeah, no, I know.
the videos. But it was like, it was crazy. Like, it didn't make sense for Turner to vote out Alyssa. It does make sense.
Yeah.
You would have most likely been out in fourth. So you convinced me that. You made it
Well,
right.
perfect, bro.
It is getting
Way later.
Later.
Yeah, that's crazy. I was just looking at the lighting. I was like, that is.
Yeah, it got a lot
different.
darker. I was gonna ask some questions. There was like a couple for Megan. I totally forgot.
Megan, assumingly, I guess I told her she could come at any time, but then she got back later from work.
Yeah,
Impossible.
like-
But I did send her a picture of the cats.
Poor. Yeah, no worries.
Yeah.
So the first one is from Courtney. Courtney wanted to ask how grueling the initial like quarantine / sequester period is before you go into the house.
Yeah, that was probably the worst part of it all, because I mean, it's just you with a DVD player and that's it for a week, right? So
Yeah.
I mean, they say like in sequester, and if anyone doesn't know, it might be different like post COVID, but we were still in like the getting tested for COVID every day. So my stay at that sequester hotel was 16 days, which is far longer than other people on my season. Some people had
really?
9 days. I had 16, right? Because they have to get everybody to film, and they were doing different days, and it was like
Yeah, I guess it makes sense that they don't all happen on the same day.
Yeah, so they happened within a week of each other. I had the first day, like, and I think there was, I forget who it was, but there was only one other person who had my day, and so I was there for 16 days. Not to say I had it the worst, but everyone else was on the 8th and 9th floor. I was on the 3rd floor. I didn't have a view, and right outside my window was like this big like generator. I had no sunlight. I couldn't even look at anything. Then I hear Joe. She's like, yeah, you know, I was waving to people down by the pool, and we were having fun every day. And I was like, bro, I was living in hell.
You were
for those
in
16
hell.
days. He's like, yeah, I was there for 10. I was like, bro, why? So yeah, that was the worst part of the entire experience. I mean, I would do it again to be on Big Brother in a heartbeat. I'd go a month just to be on the show.
That leads into the next question, I guess, which was from Eden. Eden wants to know if you would ever go back and play another season.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, especially because I have such like, you know, like rose-tinted glasses to my experience where I like love it so much. And really, like, at the end of the day, if someone was to say, just summarize your time in Big Brother, I'd be like, oh yeah, I had fun and I made new friends. And that was like what I take from the show. And so, yeah, I would totally go on. I'd love to, as I say, like make new friends, go on, have fun, win some comps, maybe win money. And I do think that if I was given a year or two, or even now, I would know more so what to do if I was asked to be on the show. I would take the feedback, like the constructive criticism, of course, and go back into the house and do better. And so, like, if I'm doing better than 3rd place, I'm winning.
Yeah, exactly. You're getting to the end. You're in the
Yeah.
final two. That's even more money.
Exactly. And ideally, like, I would love to go on another show, whether it's The Challenge or Survivor or, like, one of the more athleticism-based shows. And I know that, like, the people who kind of get drafted for those shows are like the Monty, like the big, strong.
Yeah, so you
dude,
can go in a
right?
hall brawl against Monty.
Yes, exactly. Then I would get quite literally destroyed. But like, in case I'm ever asked, I've been in the gym every single day. Our same gym.
Yeah, our gym is really nice.
Yeah.
I've only been there a couple times.
Exactly.
but-
We have a nice gym, and so it's like I've been working on my stamina and running, and it's like I'd be ready if I was ever get asked to be back on any other show.
Yeah, that's funny because I had like a little addition to that question. It was from me. And I was going to ask if you, because there are a lot of people that go from Big Brother onto the challenge.
Oh, that's a dream of mine, bro. I do love the challenge. I love that show so
I
much.
like watching it a lot.
So, especially it's like after Big Brother, and then you see like I mean, Big Brother's a whole other game, obviously, but it's like more not childish games, but you know what I mean, just not as like intense.
Oh yeah,
right?
there's some meme going around where it's like Survivor challenges, and it's like this huge, intricate like obstacle course and then Big Brother challenges, and it's like a 2-year-old puzzle, like fit to shape into there, and that is kind of what it is.
Yeah,
sometimes.
like I remember a couple weeks ago, it was like people playing Big Brother getting like pulled by like fake underwear, and then 30 minutes later, it's people jumping off of buildings, and I'm like, I want to do the jumping off of buildings one. Like
that's intense.
Yeah, so I do hope to get called back sometime. Some people never get called back to the challenge, and if that's okay, like it kind of is what it is. I'm not counting on it, nor am I betting on it, but if I was asked, I'd be happy to go on.
Yeah. All right, cool. Next question. This one has like a little, I guess, like inside joke that I'm not aware of.
Oh, yeah.
But Becca asks, what were the biggest culture shocks when you came out of the house, and why was the number one culture shock Howie Mandel's TikTok?
Oh my god, wait, you don't know what that means?
No.
Okay, so when this is kind of also like H3 lore.
Okay.
So when I was in the Big Brother house, Howie Mandel, Price is Right host, podcast host, he made a TikTok where he was just reacting to different images, right? He would post his green screened head and like just talk about pictures on the screen. One of them was, I don't know, you can bleep this out if you'd like, but a that was on the screen, and then his head's in the corner going, ow, right? So
That's so
and then
funny.
he like lost out on like $1 million brand deal or whatever, and like I don't know, surely got in trouble for. I mean, he's high up in media. You can't be doing that, right, with his younger audience kids. So when I saw that out of the Big Brother house, Ethan Klein, when I was on H3, was like, "Hey, have you seen this?" I was like,
that's
no,
so
I
funny.
haven't. And then that was interesting to watch him react to.
I said, I wasn't gonna look it up. I was like, I'm just gonna ask Turner and like I'll see what he says about it. That's really
Now
funny.
it's you'll have to watch that after.
Yeah,
'cause it's
I can't
something.
wait.
Yeah, right.
All right, I got 2 more of these.
Hell
Utma asks, how did it feel? Oh wait, we kind of already talked about this one. So I guess mainly it was just how did it feel rewatching the season, and how did the episodes compare to actually playing in it? We kind of already went over that.
Yeah, definitely. So I'll do real quick the short answer. It's funny when people come up to me on the street. I love meeting fans, and I get recognized pretty often.
Oh, that
So-
was the freaking last one.
Oh, really?
Or not the last one. That was one I forgot to write down.
Oh,
Do you
really?
get recognized on the street ever?
Oh my god, yeah. It's insane how much. I guess I am recognizable. This is kind of what I go out dressed like 90% of the time.
I mean, it
And
already
then-
like kind of stand out.
Yeah, and then I already have the hair that people would see, and especially when it was like half blonde, half brunette. So it's like the other day I went into a club in Boston for my friend's birthday, and I was recognized probably 50 times, 55
That's
times. I was getting
insane.
free drinks. People are like, yo, the guy from Big Brother, whatever. Like, we were in line, someone recognized me, someone else got in a fight in the line. They're like, yo, evict this guy. Am I right, Big Brother, dude? And then I was like, sick, bro. But no, I get recognized a lot, and I love it. But the one question I always get asked when I get recognized is, how was it? I'm like, good. I don't know. Like, how do I say that right now? It's like when people are like, hey, how are you? You don't say anything but good. Right?
Yeah,
So-
I mean, you don't go like too in depth.
Yeah,
It's like,
exactly.
well, actually, now that you're bringing it up, I was just watching. it.
yeah, exactly. Because then it's like, you're lonely, bro. You got to talk to someone else about this. So, yeah, I get asked, how was it? I always say good. So I'll just say good. Yeah.
And the last one, I guess we kind of already talked about this one too, but I guess the second one we did. Carrie Ann wants to know if you are still in the rug business and if you still take part in van life in a big or small way.
Oh yeah, that's super interesting. I guess I'll get a little inspiring real quick, but like to look at your life, like not you obviously in general, to look at someone's life like where you are at this moment, and then like just like the dreams you have and where you want to end up. It can literally, the trajectory, like everyone's path is different, right? Your trajectory might be ups and downs and every corner that you never could have imagined. It's like when I was living in a van and doing van life, I was 20. That was before I had my business. That was during the pandemic. I really didn't have anything to my name, right? I had a van and I was living in it. And then when I like told people like Megan's family, I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna live in a van. They were like, what are you what are you insane? Like, what do you mean you're gonna live in a van? So I bought the cheapest van I could afford. It was $5,000. It did not have a working heating system, and I bought it in the winter. And then we drove to like Colorado, where we were freezing all the time in the winter. And it's like, for the most part, like it really just depends on perspective. Because I would look at it like I was just living a fun, adventurous life.
That is really adventurous.
Yeah, exactly. And other people, and really at that time after I bought the van, I didn't really have any money. So I was like, other people would look at it like, oh, he's basically homeless living in a van. But still, I really fit the stereotype of like what that would look like, or like someone saying, oh, he dropped out of college and now he lives in a van and he doesn't have heat in his car. But it's like, I don't know, I always had dream, and also at the time I was not very well liked online because of everything I went through with my past. So I really was at rock bottom, but in my head still I was like, I'm just having fun, and that's kind of how I look at everything. So it's like my time in van life, I knew that eventually things would just kind of work out. That's kind of how life goes, right? Like surely you've been in very low moments, and now surely, I mean, as far as I know you, which is pretty close now, it seems like you're living your best life at like having a good YouTube channel. So it's like you could be anywhere and end up literally on the opposite side of that coin with like your dream life, and that's what I feel like I live now. So I say that to say, will I ever go back to van life in a nicer van than my broken down no heat van? If I ever wanted to get like a Sprinter van and travel the world when I someday own a house, then perhaps, but that is definitely in the distant future.
Yeah. What an inspiring way to end this. Like that,
definitely,
I like that.
Hell yeah.
Thanks for coming over. I mean, I'm not like known, but like even though I have like a presence in the Big Brother community, like I don't message Big Brother players. I'm not trying to get up in anyone's business at any point. Like I'm just here enjoying the show, watching. So this was a ton of fun to like just by happenstance live in the same apartment, like where it's like a natural like, hey, do you want to come shoot this video for
definitely
something?
Or even just like yesterday me like calling you up on FaceTime, being like, hey, what do you want to do later? So it's that kind of goes to say like you could end up anywhere at any time, so don't close off like what you're willing to do. Kind of just be open to anything. This is for the people watching, and people are like, what is he talking about right
So
now?
we've been talking for hours.
Exactly. But no, dude, I'm glad we did this.
For sure.
This is lit.
Yeah. Do you want to shout out any socials, because you are everywhere?
Oh yeah, definitely. I'll say my main social that I am most frequently on is Instagram. That is TURNURR. The only username available part of Turner that was possibly available when I got that. The one without the double R, it has been deactivated since 2009, so I'll never get that one. But yeah, Turner on Instagram, and I guess I'll comment under this video, and then maybe it'll be pinned.
Yeah, we'll see. I'll throw a pin. I'll throw some pictures up.
Hell yeah, bro.
But yeah, thank you for watching. If you enjoy, I'll have Turner on again. Maybe if I find out that someone else lives in this apartment.
Oh my god, imagine.
Imagine.
We
they
find
could
out
come
like
on.
Joseph is secretly living
Oh
downstairs.
my god.
Also, I have to shout out Joseph real quick. I'll get to this really fast. So yesterday I posted on my Instagram story that my friend's cat got in an accident. And I just posted on my story, and I was like, hey, here's the GoFundMe link. And then without saying anything, Joseph donated $50. Didn't even text me. He just donated to the GoFundMe of the cat. And I was like, Joseph, you literally are like the best person. Like, I love that guy. Definitely. He's also one of the groomsmen at my upcoming wedding. So
no kidding.
Yeah, we love Joseph. So just special shout out for that, because he didn't even tell me that he donated to that cause. So he's the GOAT.
Well, if you want to donate to the GoFundMe, I just saw that on Instagram
hell yeah.
too.
Yeah, definitely.
We can put that in there as well. And I cannot believe that Joseph was an alternate.
I know, right? That is so crazy.
How the heck was he an alternate?
I'm very glad that worked out, and I've never talked to Marvin, but no one could be as good as Joseph.
I forgot that it was Marvin.
Yeah,
No,
right.
I think it worked out.
Definitely.
All
right. Gamers, everyone watching, I love you. Maybe we'll do a follow-up someday.
Cool. All right. See ya.
Hell yeah.
Awesome.
That was fun, dude. We went on for